Good afternoon and welcome to 94.9 32 FM. Glad again to be back this week as we run all the headlines from the world of sports. I am Peter Omo, and this is, of course, the Scoreboard Reloaded, where we come and see how we can get those stories back, discuss the headlines, and, of course, bring some arguments. And if we do, we pick a few calls on the show. So, how was the weekend? How was your weekend? Mine was all about what now? Kind of football, because like I said, the last few editions of the show that we're winding down, slowly but surely hitting the business part of the league. So let me just see how far I can go, and then our last time is also share his thought before we begin to pick them, because 27 minutes might not be enough for us to cover everything that happened from the continent, of course, to away from the continent and beyond. All right, Remo Stars are champions. Finally, they laid their hands on the title on Sunday, beating Tornadoes by 0-0, and that was all they needed. Yes, they didn't get the trophy. That will be done in the coming days when they play against Kodu City, and they'll start planning for CAF Champions League. Now, speaking about CAF Champions League also, we know the two finals for this year's CAF Champions League, one from South Africa and one from Egypt. The one from South Africa did it the hard way, went to Cairo and won against the almighty Zamalek. And Zamalek, after a few hours, sacked the Swiss head coach. All right, so we'll talk about that. Talking about champions, Celtic also were champion over the weekend. The BBC, they were here and they brought you all that happened, how Celtic went on to win the title in Scotland. For Rangers, is always struggling. All right, so talking about more champions. Liverpool also were champions over the weekend, done in a sweet, when I say sweet way, when you beat a side from London in Spurs by 5-1. All they did was just a point for them to win the title. But I said, no, we're not going to do that. We want to win this comprehensively. And that they done. That was done against Hank Postecoglou. So it's all about the future now of the Austrian head coach of Spurs. Bayern will put on hold, but that will surely happen. It will happen. Inter Milan, they stumbled in Milan, where they lost to Roma by 0-0. Napoli took advantage last night, where they won the game against Torino by 2-0. And PSG, they suffered their first defeat in the league. They lost to Nice by 3-1. Maybe Arsenal fans will be happy about that, to say, okay, now you lost that game. You're coming to London on Tuesday for the UEFA Champions League first leg semi-final game. And of course, Barcelona will triumph in that El Clasico final in Seville, where they won against Real by 3-2 after extra time. And so I'll be asking SAMIES the future of so many head coach on the show today. Benga Gubote, Carlo Ancelotti, Hank Postecoglou. What is the future like for them? And let me just put some jar on the icing, and then our last time is coming to talk more. The Arsenal ladies, they've said to the Arsenal men, find your way to the final, because for we are in the final. They went to France, beat Olympique Lyonnais on Sunday by 4-1 after losing the first leg in London by 2-1. For former Barcelona girls, their job was very easy.
Maybe Ruben Amorim, yes, his side left it later to get a draw against the Bournemouth at Vitality Stadium. And then, talking about the future of a few coaches, Bankole Okere did a good job also over the weekend, where we secured our tickets to play that at the World Cup, and that's actually a good one. But you know that the football world definitely came up exciting over the course of the weekend, where we had two champions. That's one in England, and also one in Nigeria, which definitely is a good one. 15 years after their emergence as a club side in Nigeria, and then they've won the title. And then for Liverpool Football Club, it's just only about the matter. It was all about the matter of when, and not the certainty of it. But then it is confirmed that Liverpool are champions of the English Premier League when they defeated that Tottenham Football Club yesterday by 5-1. But if you ask me, discussing about football generally, well, I would really say that my attention was solely in France as well as in Italy. Okay. You know, when I say France, it's about the UEFA Women's Champions League. It was a copy and paste of the results between Barcelona and Chelsea. That's in the first leg. Barcelona repeated that feat and still defeated Chelsea by 4-1 and qualified 8-2 on aggregate. But then talk about the remontanda. I think it was just the most used word by Arsenal women now, saying that they could do a comeback. And they did that against the most successful side in the UEFA Women's Champions League. And then to think of it, for Lyon they've been in the Champions League semi-finals for 11 successive seasons. And yes, you could tell that they've not lost, or I don't know how to put it now, they've not lost, yes, in that games that they've actually had the lead in the first leg.
Okay.
And yesterday happened to be the turn of Arsenal to definitely repeat or maybe look to put their name in the history books once again. And remember that Arsenal are still the only English side who have won the UEFA Women's Champions League. They won yesterday by 4-1, and they've set a date on May 24 against the FC Barcelona Femini. That's in the UEFA Women's Champions League. And definitely that's a good one. And when I say about Italy, the title race, what are we seeing? 3 straight defeats for Inter Milan now. How will they do it on Wednesday when they face off against the Barcelona, who definitely have all the groove in their midst, in their circle at this point? 3 straight defeats, losing out of the Coppa Italia finals, and then losing your balance. So that's at the top of the Serie A standing. And now they are 3 points behind Napoli, whom of course Scott McTominay was the one who scored 2 goals for the Petine Pie. And then I asked that question also back to his former employers. That's talking about Manchester United. Why did they let go of Scott McTominay?
Because he was not needed in the side, and the boys who are needed, they are there playing rubbish. Yesterday I tweeted, I said, the 2 most useless, clueless managers for me in England has to be Hank Postecoglou and Ruben Amorim. Amorim, you had to take him extra men for him to get the win. Yesterday, they got a point. The other day was against Olympique Lyon, had the man sent off in that game, ball advantage, and they won. Now, speaking about the Arsenal women team, for me, that was a hard one because I never saw that coming. Lost the first leg by 2-1, and then went to Lyon and led halftime by 2-0, and they went on to score 4 goals. So we wait to see. When you beat a team as big as Olympique Lyonnais in the Women UEFA Champions League, then you are saying you're making a bold statement. I know Barca have got the experience, they've got the players that can shock and beat anyone, anywhere. I'm talking about the Barcelona football women team. Of course, like Sammy said, that game will be coming down in the month of May. So we might likely be seeing the men and the women play in the final of this year's UEFA Champions League. Back to horse here home, because you have to celebrate Remo Stars, SAMIES, and I'm just seeing this from a colleague, breaking down the 8 private club that have won the Nigerian Premier Football League title. Raka Rivers in 1978, New Nigerian Bank, NNB, in 1985, Leventis United of Ibadan in 1986, Julius Berger won it twice in 91 and 2000, Stars of Lagos 1992, Udoji United, Mofoka 1996, Ocean Boys of Bayelsa in 2006, and now Remo Stars in 2025. So, questions. Yeah, now SAMIES Shooting Stars away from home. They lost the Abia by 3-1. But before we get to that, how big was this for Remo Stars, for Daniel Ogumodede, and of course the owner of the club side who was celebrating his birthday, of course, over the weekend?
59.
So, 59. So this is what you call plan well worked. Action plan. AP put in place. 2 years, they were back-to-back runners-up. The 3rd time they get to win. I've seen people try to compare this with Arsenal Football Club. 3 years, they've finished second in the league, and they haven't won it. Remo Stars, back-to-back second. It says something about what that club is doing and is doing right. I wish I can talk about what CAF Championship will be all about, but maybe we should just allow them. Let's celebrate Remo Stars on the show today. Quickly, SAMIES. This is a big one for Remo Stars, and this is what football should be.
Definitely, it's a big one, and if you're a lover of Nigerian football and you say you're not excited with what Remo Stars achieved, that was yesterday, probably you should put your focus in something else, because this is a team that gained a promotion back, that was in the 2021-2022 football season, and then it was the abridged league format, and they even qualified for the Super 6 then, and then you look at how they've gone. Well, I look at it like this. The Super 6 in which they qualified for that season was with Gbenga Ogubote. He was the one who brought them to the top flight. Remember, Ogumodede was there, but he had to leave
for France,
for Portugal for his coaching license and all of that. But Ogubote brought them to the top flight.
Yeah.
And then the following season, Ogumodede was done. Gbenga Ogubote left. And then he saw them to second place, finishing successive seasons. But it's just only about the right plan. And also, when we talk about planning, better recruitment was also done. I remember at the time there was a Lokosa, and even they got one of the best strikers in Nigeria. That's a Sikiru Alimi also to reinforce, and their captain Odika Junior, who is also doing so well for himself. And then the man who even scored the goal yesterday, Adam Solamilekon. You look at all of these guys, they are doing so well even before they joined the shooting Remo Stars. And then they joined Remo Stars. It's all about the level of experience they keep adding every year. You know, one layer to another layer. Now it was in the abridged league format. They finished second. It just really makes sense that they win the title. And with what they've done this season, you know, yesterday before they even took on to the field of play, they knew that it was just a victory. This was the weekend. We are winning the NPFL title. We get a victory, and then we'll be crowned champions. That was because Enyimba defeated Rivers United. That's by 2-1. And then as that happened, it was just a great one, Kuleshoname, and you talk about the consistency, the energy, and also the dedication. You know, what you don't have passion for, what you don't like, I don't think you are going to put so much investment into it. Kuleshoname, in all odds, has done so well for this Remo Stars Football Club. He has put in everything, sweat, blood, tears, and everything. He put it into shooting. That's Remo Stars, and now it is time for them to actually reap from that. It's a good reward for them. Crown champions of the NPFL, and then it's also a good news that they'll be playing in the CAF Champions League next season. But now the question I want to see is, when we look at the coefficient now, are they going to be playing in the group stage proper, or they will still play some preliminary stages before they play in the group stage of the CAF Champions League? And I think that would also not be fair enough to see Remo Stars play in the preliminary stages. Rather, I want to see them play in the group stage proper. And now the other concern is, are they going to have those CAF Champions League games played at the Ikene Stadium there in Remo? But overall, it was a good one for Remo Stars, winning the NPFL title for the first time in their history. 15 years of that emergence, and then you tell that it's definitely a good one. And I hope that this is a lesson learned also to various club sides in Nigeria, and also to private investors who are scared of investing in Nigerian football. I know it has its own commas, a lot of commas to be precise. Shortcomings, yeah. But then, can they really take that giant step? Can they take the risk and, of course, get the reward at the end of the day? But for Kuleshoname, who turned 59 yesterday, kudos to you, sir. It was that's a job well done for him to grant Remo Stars that's the NPFL title.
All right, so we'll go on a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll talk more. We're not done. Plenty of questions, and I'm hoping that 12 minutes will be enough for us to do that. It's 94.9 32 FM.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
Tí wọ́n bá bi ọ́ léèrè pé kí o dárúkọ eré ìdíje géèmù mánigbàgbé tó dángájá, bẹ́tàrùn ni ìdáhùn rẹ̀ lọ́jọ́kọ́jọ́. Ó yá tara ṣàṣà kí ìwọ náà bá wọn jẹ àǹfààní nínú géèmù alárinrin tó fanimọ́ra ní ìpele pẹ̀lú ẹgbẹ̀rún lọ́nà igba 200,000 owó ìkíni káàbọ̀ àti àwọn ẹ̀bùn mìíràn bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. bẹ́tàrùn ayò ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí. Forí pípẹ́ tayò yìí o. Ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ látòrí ọmọ ọdún 18 lọ sókè. Alájọṣepọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ Aston Villa ni wá.
32 FM
94.9.
All right, so you're welcome back. So, like I posed all the time, that questions that always beg for answers. So SAMIES, let's see how far we can take them one after the other. Shooting Stars and Benga, where do they go from here? Help me with the table one more time. I've checked the table, but just for me to be sure of what I'm saying now, Shooting Stars at 9th on the log. If is what I'm getting, except something has changed. Where are they now?
11th. Are you surprised? Short of words.
Yes,
as at yesterday,
yes,
while the game was going on,
yes, I am.
we found ourselves in the 9th position. But then you ask me what changed from those games that went down yesterday. Is the result other sides also got in and their gameplay yesterday. And you talk about the results other sides got. It definitely has to do with maybe the likes of Plateau United that defeated Bendel Insurance by 2-1. they got that good result for themselves yesterday. Which other side definitely in the NPFL? Well, kind of pillars. I think they did that also for themselves over the weekend. They're winning. But for Bielsa United, what happened to Bielsa United also yesterday? Well, Bielsa United also defeated Economic Warriors by 2-1. And you look at it, that this was the reason why these sides won. And of course, took the positions ahead of the Oriole Warriors, and of course dropped them down to the 11th position from 8th. No, let's don't do that. From 2nd to 6th to 8th to 11th. Wow. Remember I was saying it last week that we might not even finish in the top half of the table. What are we seeing now? Shooting Stars 11th. And there's still the high probability that we don't even finish in the top 15.
You see that discussion around people saying that don't put the blame on the head coach, put the blame on the management.
No, Peter, look at the table. How many points are we from relegation?
No, it goes to show what they say, that the Nigeria MPFL is not your usual European league. Shooting Stars lost how many games in the last 5 games?
Last 5 games, we lost 3. Yeah.
So 9 points drop in that, and look at where they are. You lost to Rebel Stars in Ibadan here, and that was a big blow. And to think that Enyimba won the Renter Derby in Enugu, beat Rangers by 2-1, and that jump put them ahead in terms of where they are now. They're 5th with 52 points, and the team who's third, Abia Warriors from the same state, on 56. Ikorodu that lost that game yesterday on 53, and all of this drama is just happening in the MPFL. So I don't know what that decision will be. Shooting Stars and the head coach, if he's going to stay, is going to go, or there will be a change in terms of the management of the club side. This is not what the club, the fans wanted. If Shooting Stars was at the relegation zone and then they jumped to 11th, they'll be so okay.
Okay, can we get what's the transparency like in putting people? Now I'm careful of words. Putting, electing, appointing.
Maybe take the word electing away, because they're not going to elect them. They're going to appoint them.
Appoint.
Yeah.
People within the aim of affairs of this football club. Look at Crown FC. Since when they get relegated?
No, you see.
Are they back? What is wrong?
If you're going to be honest with yourself, you can't put Crown and Shooting Stars on the same pedestal. It's not going to work. The owners of the club side will put more emphasis. When I say emphasis, put more in investing in Shooting Stars than Crown of Ogbomoso. Do you think the state government, I know that you want to tell me, Abia, they've got 2 teams. Can Oyo State government cope with 2 teams in the MPFL?
Nobody's saying they can't, but have we even done one well? And that's why I'm asking. Crown FC, at least there should be that close par for them. The only close par we can see is that these sides are not doing well.
Yeah, okay. NNL is where Crown is currently as we speak.
For how many years?
If they don't get promoted, there's nothing the state government can do about that. So they have to find their way to the MPFL. Now, speaking about Shooting Stars, before we move on to some other things on the show this afternoon, and for me, if anybody is saying that the state government didn't do enough, the management didn't do enough, you have
for context, Peter, Ikorodu City lost their first game in 2025 yesterday. First game in 2025.
Okay. So you see 2 privately owned sides doing well in the league. There's Remo and there's Ikorodu City. That's no fluke. But in this part, it's always the governors giving the club side, like more you say, job for the boys, not giving the club side to those who can manage the club. You can imagine how much Ikorodu would have raked in, how much Remo Stars would have raked in from revenue, because the club is in the hand of people who understand the basic, not politicians who are just jumping at some of this club side, and they say that club chairmen or club administrators who know nothing about running the football affair. So if anybody is saying, put the blame on this, put the blame on that, if Benga saw those things, why didn't he resign and say, you know what, I don't like the way things are run here?
I think it was close to resignation, and that was last season. At the end of last season.
I've always had this belief of nobody should... See, the average Shooting Stars fan walking on the streets does not have the information about the management didn't do their job. He's going to put the blame on Benga.
Of
because
course.
when the club was doing well, they were shouting Benga like he's the best thing.
And to even look at
bread.
you look at Shooting Stars. Yes, he is the biggest. He's the biggest name from that club.
Yeah.
Benga Ogbubote.
So I'm shocked when people
And it
say,
all goes down to the recruitment also. Fine, you say players run down their contract. And you look at the players that left last season.
yeah.
You look at those that started this season. I'm talking about the likes of Malomo and Paigbara, Christian Paigbara.
Yeah.
They left last season, right? This season, how did you replace those guys? What was even the transparency like in your markets, recruitment and all of these things? Are you bringing in a name that is going to shake the Nigerian football space?
How many players do you know at Ikorodu City that have shaken the space?
Well, no, that is still reasonable for Ikorodu City. You get newly promoted side.
You have
right?
the money.
Well,
Maybe not as Shooting Stars because it's a state-owned
club.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Our time is almost up. But it's good that we're talking about Remo Stars, how they've gone ahead to win the league with 3 games to go.
10 points. You know, we're talking about this 10 points, and I think I said it this morning that at the point we knew Remo Stars were going to win the title, it was a 10-point lead. That was earlier this year.
Yeah.
And you guys, you and yourself and Blessing were saying you've never seen it in the NPFL, in the history of the NPFL, that a 10-point lead is going to be overturned.
Yeah.
And I was just crossing my fingers then, looking at how Shooting Stars were doing so well. And maybe the run of 8 games Shooting Stars played without a defeat, 7 wins and 1 draw, is what is affecting them till now, because they've not stringed back-to-back victories since then. They've not.
And to think
And I'm not pleased with this.
To think that clubs like Eyimba, Benediction, who are just below Shooting Stars, are now ahead of Shooting Stars, even seeing if they can qualify for the continent. Shooting Stars, don't forget also, they are not in the President's Federations Cup for this year because they were technically disqualified from the tournament. Okay, so Samis, we have to move. Don't forget that the Under-20 also is going on. Egypt beat South Africa by a goal yesterday.
7 points to relegation. 7 points from continental spaces.
So you put that together, that's 14. 7 here, 7 here. But we'll wait to see. Yeah, okay. But the other teams also, we're hoping to qualify. So now Shooting Stars looking for 7.
I just want to believe this is done and dusted out. The season is over for Shooting Stars.
No, it is. Because
I don't see how the likes of Happy Warriors, whom of course defeated you 3-1, would look at them. We know that 3rd position.
How many times have Shooting Stars lost by that margin away from home? 3 goals considered? It's all. I know they lose games, but hardly will you see Shooting Stars concede 3 goals away from home. They're always tough, compact when they play from home. They don't concede too many. But yesterday, I was surprised that at 60 minutes, they were already down by 3 goals in that game against Abia Warriors. Samis, our time is up. We wish to talk about European football, but we'll do on Tuesday when we can because we've got the Champions League coming up. And of course, Tuesday night will be fire in London. Like Ateta was saying after the game against Palace last week, come with everything you can. Come with the boot, come with the shin pad, come with your t-shirt, come with your jersey. We'll be playing together against Paris Saint-Germain. Congratulations one more time to Liverpool, to Remo Stars, to Celtic. And we'll wait to see Bayern in the coming days, how they're going to go ahead and win the title.
Peter,
and that game,
sure?
Bayern,
are you so sure?
I'm sure they're going to win this one.
Bayern
will be without Harry Kane. And it will be somewhere watching. But definitely, I think my money will be on Bayern to win the league in the coming days. For Inter Milan, I don't know, distracted. Lost to AC Milan, lost to Roma. Now they play Barca. And of course, they've got some strong games coming up in the days ahead. Come on, you can't lose 2 in the space of how many days. Adam was here saying that how many of these clubs in the Champions League will go ahead and win 3, win the treble. Barca look like the only one now to do it, but we'll wait to see what will happen on Wednesday. It's a tough one and of course a long one, though it's just a few games to go. All right, we'll leave it at that for now. But don't forget that Krista will be here at about 5 with his team. They'll come talk more about what happened over the weekend. The MPFL, the league, and, of course, more headlines. But I'm also happy to see 1 South African team and 1 Egyptian team in this CAF Champions League. And, of course, 1 Moroccan team and 1 team from Tanzania who also will be there in this CAF Confed Cup. So sad again, how many years no Nigerian club side on the CAF Interclub finals. I am Peter Omo. I've done this with SAMIES on the show today. We'll be back again 7:45 on Tuesday morning, and that will be Scoreboard in 15. Coming up on the hour will be the news.